Hello, everybody. I am Bill from Nintendo Switchcraft.
I'm Lloyd from the Nintendo Pulse podcast.
I'm Steven from the same.
I'm at 64 Josh from the Nintendo Powercast and the Smash Bros. Cast.
And it is the end of the year. Last year we started a tradition of sorts. Well, it's 2 years, so I guess it counts as a tradition. Where at the end of the year, the four of us get together and we talk about the year in review for Nintendo. So we've got a couple of topics, and let's jump right in to the first one, our best games of 2018. So, Steven, you and I were talking a little bit before we got everything started. Why don't you start us off with one of your favorite games of did I say 2016? I meant 2018.
No, I think you said 2018. Yeah, I mean, I'll go straight with Dragon Quest Builders. Came out in February. I actually had to look this up to find out if this came out this year. There's no video for anyone to see, but I'm waving it around so you guys can see it. Dragon Quest Builders came to Switch this year, and I played the heck out of it, right around when it came out because I got it at launch. And then I got infuriated with the last chapter of it because it becomes very, 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 very difficult at the end. And then I didn't touch it for 6 months. And then I came back to it and blew through the ending once I had had a break. So can't recommend it more. I think it's one of the best games on Switch this year.
So was that on other platforms? Did it come out this year or did it come out last year on other platforms?
It came out this year on Switch, but it came out last year on other platforms. It was on PS3 in Japan, PS4 and Vita worldwide, and then, and Steam. I think it's on Steam as well, but then it took until this year to finally come to Switch.
Yeah, it takes a long time for them to port stuff. What about you, Josh? What's one of your favorite games this year?
I mean, this year's been interesting for me because when Smash was announced, I started playing Smash 4 more than any other game. And so it little different, but I mean, I'm going to go ahead and start with just Mario Tennis. I did really, really enjoy that game from the when I went hands-on with the beta to getting the full game and then seeing the support they've had with it. It's been fun to play online, but as well as offline. Like come the holidays, playing a game like that just takes me back to playing on the 64 and on the GameCube and stuff like that. So it's been I've really enjoyed it, and the support for it's been great. Seeing them add tournaments and doubles. There were a few missteps with it. The online was a little thin, which is unfortunately kind of become a little bit of it seems to be par for the course with Nintendo this year, unfortunately.
Yeah. For me, I would say that one of my favorite games of the year, and this really surprised me, was Pokemon Let's Go. I didn't expect to like that game at all. In fact, I didn't buy it on launch day. I didn't buy it until after watching people play it on Twitch, and I was like, oh, this actually looks really good. And I've probably got 20 or 30 hours into it so far. I've had an absolute blast with it. I find it to be probably the most relaxing game I've ever played. What about you, Lloyd?
It's a tough one. There's so many games. I have a stack of games that have just come out in the last little bit, and it's these are all really fantastic games, but they're not necessarily all the best. I mean, obviously Smash and Let's Go Pikachu are fantastic games, but I think one of the games that I've played the most on the Switch, which is weird because it's only been out for a little while, is Diablo 3. And it's really weird saying that one of my favorite games of the year is a game that's been out for
6 years or something.
I think it first shipped on the Atari 2600, if I remember correctly, something like
Yes.
that.
Back then it was called Adventure. Yeah.
Right. I've played so much Diablo. I've put hundreds and hundreds of hours on all the other platforms, and to play another probably nearing 100 hours on the Switch just shows how not only how awesome the game is, but also how awesome the platform is that you're playing these games again, where you can take an old game that you've played so much and it just gets reinvented just by having it portable and be able to take it wherever you are. So yeah, Diablo 3 has been just a really happy surprise that I was able to get back in and play through Diablo and really get further than I ever did on any of the other platforms. I'm Paragon stupid number, where I didn't really reach that on any of the other platforms.
Paragon
Awesome.
stupid number. I like that.
Yeah, I think
Paragon's
I'm like
stupid number.
two something, 240, 220
Oh
something.
my god.
Which is nuts. I got to 200 at the end of PS4. I played mainly with my wife, co-op, and that's like through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours. I got to Paragon 200, and I only know that because I filled up all of the bars. There's 4 50s that you can basically fill up on each of the stats. So that's 200 points, and yeah, that's kind of where I got, and I've blown way past that on the Switch already.
That's pretty crazy. Steven, let's come back to you. What's your next favorite game of this year?
I'm gonna have to go with Celeste. That one came out, I think, in the summer, right around the summer, right?
I don't remember.
No, it was January.
Oh, January.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah, so it was,
Okay.
we were front loaded this year. You're right. Yeah, Celeste just was an amazing game. I was excited about that game when they showed it off, I think, on one of the Nindy podcasts that it was coming, and I'm like, wow, this looks like a weird game. And then the more I watched of the trailers and stuff, I was like, I think I'm really gonna like this. And that's one of those games where every once in a while a game will come out and I will pick it up and I will not put it down or play anything else until I complete it. And Celeste was just one of those games. And for a game where you die hundreds of times, it was surprisingly not infuriating. Like, I think maybe once or twice I got frustrated with the game and set it down for 20 minutes. But never to the point where I was like, controller throwingly frustrated, which happened to me actually a lot in Dragon Quest Builders, that kind of controller throwing frustration. And it's because the penalty for dying in that game is just negligible. In the worst situation, if you die like towards the end of a boss fight, you lose about 30 seconds of work. But in most situations, you lose about 4 seconds of work. And it's like you die and then you have an instant respawn, like usually on the exact same screen, and you can just learn a tiny bit at a time, and you don't feel stupid or like you've wasted time when you die. And just a brilliant game with some really fun writing, really cute, relatable, fun characters. Can't recommend it enough. And Limited Run has a physical edition coming out at the beginning of next year, or going up for order at the beginning of next year. I think January 1st or something. I believe that was the one that's going up then. So I'm looking forward to getting a physical copy of Celeste when that comes out.
I've heard a lot of people recommend Celeste, and I've watched gameplay, and every time I've watched gameplay, I've said, nope, I'm not interested. It looks too hard. I'm going to die. I'm going to die over and over, and I'm going to get mad. But nobody has ever said the point that you made, where the penalty for death is almost inconsequential. And so it's possible that you may have convinced me to check out Celeste, which is a game I've heard a million great things about, but always avoided because that kind of game drives me mad.
Yeah. Yeah, and when I was playing it, my fiance was watching for most of the time, and she was constantly asking me questions like, oh my god, how can you play this game? This would drive me crazy. It looks so hard. And it's like, well, it's definitely challenging, but like like we were just saying, that the penalty for death is so low that it doesn't really matter. It's important that it's there, because otherwise the game would be, just like way too easy. But the fact that like you're only losing a couple of seconds worth of work, and you can see your progress so much. And then it's got, if you want it to be easier, of course, there's all the assist modes in it, but it's just a really, really fun game.
Awesome.
Definitely
Josh, what's your
recommend it. It looks harder than it is.
It looks harder than it is. That's very good. Josh, what's next on yours?
I hope this one counts because it came out late last year, but it was Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
No, that doesn't count.
I didn't finish it until January, so.
Well, this is our 2018.
I chose Diablo. That's the game that's about 17 decades old, so it's okay. It's okay.
It's just your
Dragon Quest
favorite
Builders
game
came out last year on
year.
other platforms too, so yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I couldn't put that one down, and I don't play JRPGs. The only other JRPG I had completed before that was Pokemon Yellow. That was it.
Did you pick up Torna?
I did, and then I've been too busy. I want to know life that, and I just have not. I committed to Smash just too much, and so I haven't been able to. I've played a little bit of it, but that game, like the story was great. When I first started playing and you didn't control the attacks, I was like, I'm gonna hate this. Like, I'm not gonna like this. I want to be in control. I want to hit the A button to swing the sword. And it wasn't until like hours and hours and hours into this thing that I even like understood how to like create orbs and then go in and do like those massive attacks. I had no clue. I was clueless on all of this. Like, literally my chat would help me along. They're like, why aren't you making orbs? I'm like, I don't even know what you're saying right now. Because a lot of times if there's too much text, I'll just skip it. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. This tutorial's driving me crazy. I just want to play. And so I was basically doing it wrong. Right. And then I would get stuck. If I got stuck on a boss, I would just go grind. So I would be like 20 levels higher than I needed to be for most things, just so I could get through it. And then once I learned how to do it, I really just lost myself in that game and really, really enjoyed it. And so, I mean, I hope we see more games like it. I would like to see the first two, or at least the one on the Wii and the one on the Wii U, ported over to the Switch. I know they're different. They're not the same, but some people say they like the first game better as far as story goes. So, I did pick it up on the 3DS, but I'd still rather be able to play it on the Switch, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I played it on the 3DS, and the graphics, the screen is just so muddy that it, like, sometimes I couldn't tell what I was looking at. It was very frustrating. I did not enjoy playing that game on the 3DS. And plus, I like the combat of the newest one much better. It makes much more sense to me. I found the combat of the first one to be very, like, what the hell is going on? I didn't understand it.
Gotcha.
I never got my head around it. It was really complex. Lloyd, what do you think, man?
I have to go with Josh too. That Xenoblade was such a fantastic game. I was upset that I didn't play it last year because it didn't land up on my game of the year for last year, because it was a fantastic game. Loved every minute of it. So that's a good choice there, Josh. For me, another one of my favorites would have to be another RPG that I played, even though I haven't finished it. I got to a point in the story where I just went, I think I'm good. And that is Octopath Traveler, a game that I didn't think that I was going to like much, and saw all the hype during all the Nintendo Directs about, and I'm like, okay, this
and
looks
also from
cool.
me, mostly.
And mostly from Steven. And I'm like, it looks cool, but I don't know if this is going to be a really fun game that I'm going to enjoy. And then I jumped into it, and it is everything that I loved from the Super Nintendo era of RPGs. And Steven, it's flying in like a spaceship on his camera. I absolutely fell in love with the story, with the fact that there are 8 different stories, that originally you think that they're all separate and that's it, and it's just these 8 disparate things that you're going to be doing in the game. Then you find out that they kind of are intermingled and tied together somewhat, not directly. It's not like one cohesive story, but there's little bits that are tying everything together. And I just had so much fun playing through that game. Again, still haven't beaten it, so I don't know if that disqualifies it. But
I haven't beaten any games this year.
Okay, so then I feel okay then. I'm okay. But I just had so much fun. Oh, there you go. I didn't even beat Kirby.
That one could beat itself, though. Oh, that's phrasing.
This is a family show.
Sorry.
Pardon. But yeah, Octopath Traveler, right up there. One of my favorite games that I played this year.
One of my favorite games that I played this year was, again, not a release from this year, but a port, which kind of seems to exemplify what happened on the Switch this year, which I'm not complaining about. That would be Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. I had never played a Monster Hunter game before Monster Hunter World came to the PS4, and I played that, and the way that they kind of dumbed it down for that version of the game made it more palatable to me, because I had played the demos of the other ones before, and so I really enjoyed that. And then I wanted to be able to play Monster Hunter on my Switch because I heard very good things about this one, but I was very scared because I'd heard that this is a lot more like the older ones. But I feel like what I had learned in the PS4 version helped me apply it to the Nintendo Switch version, and I had an absolute blast playing that game. And I think that because each weapon plays incredibly different from all the other weapons, if you don't pick the right weapon for you, you can find that game to be awful. And I was trying to play with like the great sword and it didn't work out. I tried with the bow and that didn't work out. And then finally I landed on the sword and shield, or no, not the sword and shield. Oh gosh, the charge blade. I ended up landing on the charge blade, and I had so much fun playing that game with the charge blade. Again, I didn't finish it because there's just too much to play for me to finish games, I guess. But I had so much fun. Did any of you guys play Monster Hunter Gen Ultimate?
Loved it.
Actually,
Yeah. Loved it.
Go ahead, John.
Really, really. I actually, while we were on vacation, my son and I, on our 2DS, new 2DS XLs, we just went to town. We had already had Generations, and it had kind of started collecting dust. And then I was like, hey, this is coming out. We're going to be able to transfer our saves over. And so we ended up putting like, I don't know, 40 some hours into it while we were on vacation, and then got up to a pretty decent HR, and then transferred it over and was able to help people in the community that just, were just starting out. And so we could just go in and kind of dominate, which is, to me, that's one of the I don't really enjoy the grind all that much of getting up to that point. So once I was like, okay, I'm at this point, and then I can just help other people by killing stuff really quick. That's where I had the most fun with that game.
Mm-hmm. Lloyd, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, I almost picked it up, basically because you were enjoying it, Bill. And you're the reason why I picked up the PlayStation 4 version, because I saw you playing it and loving it. And I'm like, okay, I've not liked Monster Hunter ever. I've never liked this game. I should like it. Everything about the game screams, you will love this game. Jumped into PlayStation 4, picked it up, downloaded it, put it in, played about 5 hours and said, yep, I should have skipped this one. So I almost did it again with the Switch version. So you're watching you stream is very tough on my wallet, I guess is what I'm saying.
There you go. Nobody watch me stream. That'd be a bad thing for you.
Monster Hunter 3 actually was the reason I purchased a second Wii U, so that my son and I could play online together. Like, he was just way into it. So I was like, yeah, let's keep it. Let's do it.
Yeah, they do need to do a better job teaching how to play, because they do not teach you anything in that game. I learned everything that I know about playing Monster Hunter from watching YouTube videos, which is a stupid thing to have to do.
No, I bought it for my uncle over Thanksgiving, and I'm like, have you got any further? He's like, well, I did everything I could do, and now I don't know what to do. I'm like, is there anybody with a red bubble above their head, speech bubble above their head? If you go and talk to them, that should. He's like, I'll check. So, we'll be diving back in this Christmas, so it'll be fun.
Awesome, Steven, you got a third one?
I do. It's my third one is Octopath Traveler. I don't know if you've heard of it. Nobody here has discussed it yet. There's been no conversation about the game at all this year either. This is a little indie gem that was it was ported to the Switch from wherever they developed it. No, it's Octopath Traveler, obviously a giant Square Enix game. Tokyo RPG Factory, I think, made it, right? And they and Nintendo published it for them, at least in North America. Crazy good game. I had a very similar experience to it, to what Lloyd had, and what I think most people who played this game had, because you have four chapters and you have 8 characters, so there's 32 story beats to hit, and then there's like this concealed finale at the very end that you can kind of poke your way into, which turns into a boss rush of all the big bosses of the game. The final bosses for each of the 4 for each of the 8 characters. So you blast through super-powered versions of those 8 bosses, end on end, without a break, and then you fight a incredibly powerful godlike final boss. And if you lose to any of those bosses, and of course you will, you lose all of that progress and have to go all the way back to the last time you were able to save, which was before starting that final story path through all those bosses. So when I learned about that, I said, okay, I'm going to be finishing the stories for these 8 characters, the 4 chapters, and then I'm going to stop playing this game. Instead, what I ended up doing was running around and doing side quests, because there's like side bosses and things like that, and some of which I never managed to quite complete because the bosses were ridiculous. But I loved Octopath Traveler and the time I spent in it. I think I must have spent more than 100 hours in it, just doing all the things that I wanted to do, and I loved grinding in it. I loved going through and fighting the enemies and exposing all of their various weaknesses. And the only complaint that I would have, it didn't even really occur to me while I was playing it, and I saw it in some criticism afterwards, and I was like, they have a good point. And that was that they made the game so modular to the point where you could actually grab one character, never find any of the other 7, and then probably, theoretically you could play through that one character's all 4 of their chapters and never touch any of the other characters. As a result of them designing it in such a modular way, there was a lot lacking in terms of story interaction between the characters. So you had conversation that would pop up when you go to the inns or whatever, and you could talk to the other people, and they would just, the sprites would pop up and they'd have silly conversations back and forth. But you didn't have anything where their actual stories, their actual story quests involved interacting between them. It was always, okay, I'm starting a story quest. Not only is everybody else not involved in the story, but in the cutscenes, they actually vanish. So I didn't really realize quite how disconnected that was while playing, and I think that was something that they could have done better. But outside of that, and of course, the ridiculous endgame stuff that I didn't even dare approach, really enjoyed it a lot. That endgame stuff actually reminded me of what they did with Bravely Default, with the first one, how they kind of made like this looping finale. They're like, okay, we don't think this game is long enough, so let's make them do the same thing over and over and over and over again, to the point where even the characters in the game, the voiced actors, are saying, why are we doing this over and over again? So, same development house as well, I believe.
Yeah, that's a JRPG trope if I ever heard one. Their games just get too long. I know that there's a lot of people who they see on the back of a box 70 hours of gameplay. I see that and I think, well, this is a game that I'm only going to play half of.
Yeah.
Josh,
yeah, should I skip it or not? Yeah.
Right. Josh, you got a third one?
Smash.
I can't believe it took this long.
Well, I saved the best.
That's a lot of,
I saved
that's
the,
a lot of willpower,
I-
man,
I-
because I was waiting for somebody to steal it from him.
No, it's been it's been crazy the amount of I've no life this game. It came out just a little over a week ago. I've had multiple 10+ hour streams of just playing Smash.
Wow.
And I'm so it's been crazy, right? The game got announced. I jumped into Smash 4 so I could actually learn to play the game. I've only played it casually prior to that. My sons and I, when they were little, for for Brawl, we did Subspace Emissary and unlocked all the characters, and they thought that was just super cool. And that's actually really fun memories to look back on. But I never really understood the mechanics of the game. I never understood all the different moves that could be done, things like that. So, started a podcast and started to learn the game. And it's been so cool, growing a community around this and seeing people that are really, really good come in and be like, hey, do this, focus on this. And, with this new game here, it is much better than the last one. It's faster. The online right off the bat was it was a little iffy. Now things have kind of leveled out. They already got the first patch out for it, so it's been good. And the crazy thing is, I have people in my community sending me to the first like massive tournament in February at Genesis. So I've never even played in a local tournament, and here we are going to one of the one of the biggest tournaments Smash has to offer, and I can't wait. I cannot wait to die in the first my first game.
I'm gonna lose so fast. It's
yeah.
gonna be amazing. He says.
But
Lloyd, are you playing Smash?
A little bit, actually. We were just talking about it on Nintendo Pulse last night, where I've played every Smash Brothers. Yet every time a new game comes out, I totally forget how to play. Like you get the Smash Orb, and it's like, how the heck do I set this thing off? And oh my god, what do all the buttons do? So it's been fun trying to get back into that with Smash. I've only unlocked maybe about half the characters, going a little bit slower. I've had very few hours to play games these last couple weeks, but man, it's so fantastic. The fact that there's every character ever in the game, either as a fighter, an assist trophy, or as a little JPEG, it just shows the love and attention that Nintendo puts to their really big games. You can't see this game being made by any other development studio, any other platform holder, anybody else. This is a game that just screams Nintendo.
Steven?
Yeah, I mean, I picked up Smash as well. I'm probably gonna Xenoblade Chronicles 2 that game, where it came out in December, so it's gonna be my next year's.
Fair enough.
You know, I didn't want to throw Smash on right away when I'd only played it for, like Josh said, like just for like a week. But I've put more time into this Smash than I think all of the previous Smash games combined already, except for maybe Melee, because I played a lot of Melee on GameCube. But it's like, you know, Brawl. I got Brawl. I went out for the midnight launch. That was actually pretty funny because it was 2008, I think. It went out for the midnight launch, and it was cold. And we're sitting in the car, and people are lined up at GameStop, and my wife at the time was complaining. She's like, "I can't believe we're out here doing this," and she just kept complaining. After about 10 minutes, I was like, "Okay, fine. We're gonna go home, and I'll come back tomorrow by myself, and I'll pick it up." But I got that game and didn't really play it very much. I didn't play Smash Brothers Brawl very much. I don't think I ever unlocked all the characters. Then like the Wii U one came out, and I really didn't touch it, and played it for a week or two on and off, and it didn't really, you know what I mean? I didn't really get it. But Smash for Switch Smash Ultimate has been just crazy. Just playing it pretty much every day. I didn't touch it yesterday, but yeah, just I think the best Smash yet, at least for people like me who don't really know how to play.
Yeah, and I'm in that boat with you and Lloyd as well. I am terrible at Smash, but I've been having a blast with it. I've already got 30 hours into the game. I just grabbed my Switch and looked. That's crazy for me to have somehow managed to squeeze in 30 hours of gameplay on a game in a week, because I've been so busy lately. Somehow, the ability to take this thing with you means that I can play it far more often than anything else. And
yes,
Smash is just awesome. And I think that I finally have nailed down my main, which is Ridley. I love playing as Ridley. He's awesome. Josh, you, oh yeah. I watched this yesterday. Oh, Josh, look at the screen quick. Lloyd, hold it back up. Look at that. Is that painful for you?
It's okay.
Mine's in a protective house.
I still have one in the box, so I'm good.
Oh, okay.
That's Ridley as seen in Metroid Fusion. And he's
Right.
frozen in the...
Right.
So, Josh, you're maining Mario, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Lloyd?
I'm maining whatever character I choose at random, and I suck equally as bad with all of them.
There you go. Steven?
Simon Belmont.
Simon's... I tried playing as Simon. I can't get my head around all his projectiles.
Yeah. I was maining Samus from the beginning, and then once I unlocked Simon, I changed over to Simon. Just such a giant, stupid, hardcore Castlevania fan. I couldn't not. I loved that reveal.
That was a pretty sweet reveal. I still like to watch it where Luigi gets killed. It's just fantastic.
Oh, it's very
That's good.
satisfying. You're like, finally.
Wow.
All right.
Wow. This took such a turn.
He's my favorite. He's probably my favorite like Mario universe character, Luigi, but it was still so satisfying to watch him get his ass kicked. Pardon my English. It's a family show. Kirby's beating everybody.
Lloyd, do you have a third one?
I do. Is third the last one? Because it's going to make it really hard what I'm going to choose. Is that third and final, or are we going to do number 4?
Well, we can do a fourth one if you want. I don't have a fourth one.
And neither do I.
Okay. Well, then I'll kind of throw them together. Kind of my third is this game here, which is Starlink Battle for Atlas, which is secretly the best Star Fox game that has ever been made, even though it's not a Star Fox game. Played so much of this. It's super grindy, which, because it's an Ubisoft game, that's kind of what they do. So had a lot of fun with this one. The fact that I now have an R-Wing with ridiculous weapons on it, which I should really just take off if I'm going to be storing it and displaying it. I have an R-Wing now in my house, which is pretty cool. I like that. But for real, what my number 3 is, since we only can have 3, Yoku's Island Express. This is a game that I thought was going to be dumb. I thought it was going to be kiddie, and it kind of is, but in the best possible way. This is they're calling it a Pinballvania. So it's a Metroidvania with pinball mechanics. The best part of this game. The best part of this game, which is why I've recommended it to so many people with kids, is there's no possible way to die in this game. You can't die. So the annoyance factor from getting to a high perch and then dying and have to start over isn't there. You just get the joy of watching your pinball careen down from the top of the stage all the way to the bottom. So I know a lot of my friends that have kids, they've picked it up and their kids have absolutely loved this game. So yeah, it's an RPG. You're a little dung beetle that's attached to a pinball. It's probably not, but we'll go with pinball. And you basically get around the stage with bumpers and flippers and all these things. And it's not an overly long game, but I had a stupid grin on my face from basically right when the game started to when I beat it. And I beat it in a couple days. Like, I was just playing it and that's all I could think of. So if you haven't picked it up yet and you like pinball and you like Metroidvanias, this shouldn't work, but it works so well, and I hope we get more Pinballvanias coming out, because my god, this game is so good.
Like Sonic Spinball Mania. What about that? That'd be great. Or wasn't there a Metroid pinball game as well, right?
There was that too, yeah. And a Kirby pinball and Sonic pinball, that was a thing for a while, and then I guess
Mario's Pinball Land.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
that's right.
I never played that.
Wow. Yeah, I think all these really bad games came out, and everybody said, "Yeah, we're not putting our mascot into a pinball game." And this one came out, and it's been long enough where the stink is kind of dissipated, I think.
That's such a clever game. Team 17 made that one, and I had only heard really, really great things out of it. It's on everything. This isn't a Switch exclusive, but I had heard so many great things about it. I waited for the physical release to be discounted a little bit, and then I grabbed that one, and I was just shaking my head. Lloyd, when you first get the noisemaker in that, the
Yeah.
horn, how hard did you laugh the first time you hit that button? And it's a party horn.
And continued to laugh for a long time because my kids were having just a blast with it, and then I decided to not like it anymore. Because of that, but yeah, no, it's just the game's cute. The story is fantastic. All the characters in the game are fun, and it really feels like something that Pixar would make. It just has this character and just a joy about the whole experience. So yeah, Yoku's Island Express was just such a great game to come out this year on, as you said, pretty much every platform.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's great on the Switch. Take it everywhere.
Exactly.
Well, my third game in the list was Smash. So we already discussed that. We can move on. Any last thoughts before we talk about the next topic?
Oh, my fourth game would have been Fortnite. I'm just throwing that out there.
Oh,
No,
man. You know
I'm just
what?
kidding. I'm kidding.
No, you know what? You might be kidding, but if I loaded up my Switch, it would tell me that that's the game that I played more than any other game this year, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's so fun. It really is a fun game, and like my son is constantly telling me, "Dad, have you played season 7 yet? Have you played season 7? There's airplanes and stuff." And I've never seen a game that can reinvent itself so well. So, even though you're joking, Josh, that game is fantastic and deserves an honorable mention, in my opinion. I just forgot.
Too many good games. Too many.
Too many good games. Speaking of too many good games, we've got a lot of games coming out next year. So let's take a look at the confirmed, and I'm going to say confirmed in quotes here, 2019 exclusives. And you guys can hop in with your, what are you most excited for? So we've got Pokemon Gen 8, Animal Crossing, Yoshi's Crafted World, although has that really been confirmed for 2019? Because they just keep saying, we're making it.
When it's ready.
Yeah, Luigi's
2019
Mansion
is
3.
the latest claim. Yeah.
Yeah, Luigi's Mansion 3, Fire Emblem Three Houses, Town, which is that game from the same developers of Pokemon, Game Freak, Sayonara Wild Hearts, Demon Ex Machina, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, and Travis Strikes Again. Those are the confirmed 2019 exclusives. What jumps out at you guys? Lloyd, start us off.
I'm a Marvel zombie from back when I could just barely read. Read Marvel comics, love Marvel. And when I heard that Marvel Ultimate Alliance was coming out on the Switch and it was a platform exclusive, I about fainted. I was just so happy. My worry is that it's going to be a terrible game, just like the ports of Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2 that came to PlayStation 4 that I instantly on release day paid full price for, and they are terrible. They are the worst ports of an old game. I'm worried that this game might have issues, but I'm still really excited for it. You take one of the games I mentioned earlier, Diablo, and you put on a Marvel coat of paint, and you have Marvel Ultimate Alliance. So I don't know how I can't get excited for that one. And for something to come out of the Game Awards, yet again, a big Nintendo exclusive is dropped at the Game Awards and sets the internet on fire, which is just a fantastic thing for being a Nintendo fan.
Yeah.
Team Ninja is what makes me nervous about Ultimate Alliance 3.
Sure.
Did they make the other ones or not?
No.
I can't remember.
No, they didn't. But
No.
they did Other M, and they've done some other games that are just not like. They've had a few misses, but they've also had some other people have told me they've had some other games that weren't too bad. So it's kind of a mixed bag right now with them. But like the last Ninja Gaiden, like the one that was on Wii U 3, was terrible. Like it was just trash, and so.
Yeah.
That's what makes me nervous because I love the first game. I never played the second one. I played the first one on 360 and loved that game. That was like a holiday gem that we didn't realize how much we were going to play. And it was like, oh my gosh, like it's 4 a.m, it was good.
Fantastic couch co-op in those Marvel Ultimate Alliance
So
games.
good.
It's the kind of thing that is perfect. I hate using this phrase, perfect for the Switch, because it comes with those 2 controllers, and my guess is you'll probably be able to play single Joy-Con. I think that looks great. Lloyd, Steven, what jumps out at you from this list?
I'll add that I was also really surprised about the Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 reveal. I was surprised enough that it's coming to Switch at all, but the fact that then they're now saying that it's going to be an exclusive for the Switch is like, really? How long? How long is that going to be an exclusive for? Are we talking 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
I thought Disney liked money. They'd want it on everything.
Yeah, right. And I know the Switch is like this runaway success, and it's huge, and I'm sure it will sell a bajillion copies, which is great for everyone involved. But I just don't expect it. Really didn't expect that.
Mm-hmm.
Of those ones that you mentioned, I think the one I'm most excited for has got to be Animal Crossing, and I try not to get that excited about upcoming games when I know nothing about them. I mean, all we got for that was a logo, right?
Mm-hmm.
They kind of Metroid Prime 4'd that one. But with what they did with New Leaf, when they said, okay, this series is getting a little bit stagnant. Let's have everybody in the company have a say on what goes into this game. Let's put, all of these voices in. Let's get a diverse range of voices in. It made what is easily, by far, inarguably the best Animal Crossing game ever. And I played well over 500 hours of Animal Crossing New Leaf on 3DS. and I will probably outdo that on Switch because it'll look better, and hopefully it'll play even better, and it'll have even further refinements. I hope they go up from scratch again, like they did with New Leaf, and say, let's reinvent this. Let's put all of the stuff that's already been in there, but we'll put a bunch more too. Let's give new mechanics. You could be the mayor. You don't have to be the mayor. You can, have different animals in different jobs. So it's not always Copper as the Copper and Booker as the those dogs can be bartenders maybe, instead of, Brewster as the barista. Now he's the cop. But it's like, it's something that I can't help but be excited by Animal Crossing, because even the bad ones, with the exception of City Folk, I mean, I put so much time into the other Animal Crossing games. So it's like, can't wait to be playing that, handheld, and then dock it in the TV and nice 1080p beautiful graphics. They better not disappoint me on that. They can't help it. They're gonna, no matter what, they're gonna disappoint me in some way.
Are we all Animal Crossing fans?
Most played game on my 3DS.
Same here. My one hope with the Switch version is with Nintendo's new mentality around their old IP, like having free NES games with your Nintendo Switch Online subscription. I hope that the little NES systems will make a reappearance back in this version, so you can get your NES ROMs back into Animal Crossing, because that was the reason why I bought the first Animal Crossing. It's like, what? I could play old NES games inside this other game. This is amazing. Picked up the game and just instantly fell in love with it, and doing kind of like the daily grind in Animal Crossing. So I secretly hope that they bring all those little NES systems back into this one, and you can play the same games that you already have in another app, but inside of Animal Crossing.
Mm-hmm.
So Steven and Lloyd have both said things that they would like changed about Animal Crossing, basically. Josh, is there anything that you would like changed for this version of Animal Crossing that would be different from the old one?
I don't know that I would change anything from New Leaf, but just expand on it, right? So like maybe allow us to have like a yard that it could be, set up barbecues, swing sets, that kind of stuff. I think with the ability to play online, allowing your friends to like maybe come set up shop, like they've been, Pocket Camp is about camping. They put a campground in, like maybe I want to roll up in my RV and hang out at in your place for a while and have, and help out. And maybe I can stay when I save, I can either start back at my house, or maybe I start up in your game. I don't know if that stuff's even feasible, but that's just kind of some of the stuff we've been chatting about. The thing that I'm probably just the most excited for is that my family gets so into this game. Like my 3 of my 4 kids all play this game. My wife has the New Leaf DS with all the white one with all the different cherry blossoms and all that stuff on it. Like it's a huge game for my household. So I'm really looking forward just to being able to it's not really couch co-op, but in a way it's going to be, because we'll all sit down with our Switches and put a movie on and just be like playing tag and that kind of stuff. And I loved what they added with New Leaf. Like they threw a Wii U into the game that allowed you to then play like Puzzle League or whatever. I think that was the DS, and then the Wii U game that they added was one of the terrible games from Amiibo Festival. So it was like, whatever, but still the fact that they were putting games in games again, I really like that. So I'm looking forward to it.
If I could change one thing about Animal Crossing, and I have to point out that New Leaf was the first and only Animal Crossing game I've ever played. So
Okay.
I'm completely blank slate on this. I can't stand the inventory management. It is such a chore.
It's so much better now.
Is it? How can it be worse than that?
Oh, play the other
games. Like I was
games.
back in the days of Diablo 1, where I've got to make sure that I'm playing Tetris with my backpack or something. You want
Yeah.
games in games. That's what the inventory management was. I just want them to fix that.
Best example for you, Bill, is that in the GameCube, in the first one that came to the US, the GameCube one, fruit did not stack. Think about that for a
Oh
moment.
my god!
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
yeah.
have thrown.
So you
that
could hold
thing.
15 pieces of fruit at a time if you didn't hold anything else. You
That's
also
terrible.
didn't have the quick swap. You know how you can push left and right on the D-pad on the 3DS one to switch between your tools?
Mhm.
You couldn't do that.
Had to
And
open
you could
your.
push down to put your tool away,
Yep.
push up to take it out. Didn't have that.
Yep. Half your time
Um,
was spent in menus in the GameCube version,
Mhm.
pretty much doing
Yeah.
management and moving stuff around.
So you would do things like you would fill your letter slots with envelopes, and you would stuff things into those envelopes just so that you could get them out of your inventory. And you can still do that with some things on the 3DS. Like you can't put a fish in a letter, but you can. I love that error message that comes up. You can't put a fish in a letter. But yeah, just about anything else you can stuff them in letters. But it was, man, when I started playing New Leaf and I discovered entirely by accident that you can stack fruits of the same kind up to 9 in a slot, I was like, this is going to change the universe. This is unbelievable. And I think that after that, every other like obtuse little decision that they made that, like, oh, now I'm going to open the gate. I want to open the gate to let people in. Okay, so you want to open the gate? Yes. Okay, so I'm going to open the gate for you, right? Yes. Okay, so you want me to just go and do that now? Yes, you can do that now. All right, well, I'm going to save your game first. Okay. All right, now I'm saving your game. Okay, so now I should open the gate? Yes. All right, I'm going to open the gate now. And then the gate opens, and you're like, everybody else went to bed. I don't want to play anymore.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Still got that, but even that used to be worse.
Well,
My-
hopefully they get Thanos to come and like blow up their UI designers or something with a snap, and everything will be better.
They've had long enough, right? Like,
How long's it been?
2013?
yeah,
I think 2012, 2013.
it's been a long time, and the thing is, like, they kept teasing it with the Wii U. They gave us like this little like
the Plaza.
yeah,
thing.
the plaza. So you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. You could basically step into this thing, and it just had the tree growing, and all of the characters showed up there, and it lasted for like a couple years, and then they took it away, and then Amiibo Festival comes out, and they release all the Animal Crossing Amiibo, and you're thinking, okay, I'm kind of glad they waited, honestly. Like, I have a feeling this game has been has been in development for an extremely long time, and I think we're all going to reap the rewards of this. I got to say, my favorite thing about Animal Crossing is pitching it to somebody. Like, yeah, this game, you get a job, you get a house, you get a mortgage, you got to work all the time. It's super fun. They're like, this sounds like real life. What are you talking about? Like,
There's a raccoon who comes around and tries to break your kneecap.
yeah, it's great. It's great. But in the GameCube version, my uncle took a pixelated photograph of my face and then sent it to me. So like, I have characters running around in the GameCube that have my face on their shirts, on their hats. Like, it's hilarious.
That's awesome. I think that whole Amiibo festival, if we look at what Game Freak and the Pokemon Company did this year with Pokemon Let's Go, where they're basically using the assets that they've developed for Pokemon Gen 8, and they released another game, and that sounds like a horrible money grab, but that game's awesome. But they released another game using those assets. I feel like that's exactly what Nintendo is doing with Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. They just said, look, we've been working on this game forever. We've got all these assets. We can easily dump those into a money grab board game thing and maybe make some money back. And I feel like that's what Amiibo Festival was just a way for them to monetize assets that they were already working on for another game. And it just did not work out nearly as well as Pokemon Let's Go did.
And the only good thing from that experiment was the Nooklings amiibo. That's the only thing that the only I don't know, silver lining to that really dark cloud is we got a Nooklings amiibo, and everything else can forget about it.
I still think it's funny all those Animal Crossing amiibo they put out that like must have sold so poorly, or at least relative to how many they manufactured. I bought every one of those the day it came out for full price. I mean, whatever, 20% off on Amazon, whatever they were doing with amiibos at the time. every one of them, and they're still sitting on my shelf, and now they can be had for like a nickel.
Totally.
I have 2 full sets, one open and one not. And
Yeah, of
I
course
was
you do.
I was in a store last night that full of Animal Crossing amiibo, selling the 3-pack with KK Slider or whatever for $10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nuts.
It's crazy.
So we've talked about it for a while. I don't remember who brought up Animal Crossing.
I believe it was me.
Okay,
Was it me?
so Josh, what from this list gets you most excited? Because we've already heard from Lloyd and Steven.
I mean, it's gonna be Animal Crossing. That's definitely the one that I'm
Okay.
most excited for. But if I had to go with, let me say this: there's none of the games other than Animal Crossing coming out next year are games that I'm like, yes, I can't wait for. I'm a super fan of. But what I hope is that changes after I get to play some of those games. So like Fire Emblem games, I've never really gotten into. I'm really, really hoping to get into this next one. Right. Luigi's Mansion, I think, is great. They're fun games to play through. I've only played the one on the DS, and I didn't even complete it, but I really liked what I played. So and are we going to see Metroid? Are we going to see Bayonetta 3? We don't know. Nothing's confirmed, right? But if those 2 games came out, I would be way hyped.
Awesome. And I'm kind of with you. I think you guys have already talked about the ones. Well, I think I'm most excited for Pokemon Gen 8. If Pokemon Let's Go is any indication of how much fun I'll have with Pokemon on Switch, I think Gen 8 is pretty exciting for me. I'm not excited at all for Travis Strikes Again because I've never played any of those games. And then Fire Emblem, I always try and love Fire Emblem, but they don't hold my attention enough. Maybe now that I can play it, like I stream on Twitch and I can't stream from my DS. And that's a lot of the reason why I've never really enjoyed a Fire Emblem game as much, because I'm always like, wow, I'm playing a game. I should be streaming this. And then I can't stream that. So Fire Emblem 3 Houses, I'll be able to stream. Do you guys think it'll be 3 different games? Like, is that that's kind of the way that Nintendo's been going with Pokemon and Fire Emblem for a while now?
I wouldn't be surprised, and I'll say this: if there is 3 games and they do any kind of special edition, do not miss pre-order. Like, make sure you pre-order that, because those games go up in value so quickly. Look at any of the DS titles, even the ones that aren't that old, that have like 2 games on one cart. They are not cheap. They are not cheap.
Yeah. I got the 3 games, the last 3DS one, Fates,
Mm-hmm.
where they put the 3 games in the one box for the limited edition.
Mm-hmm.
I got that pre-ordered the moment it went up, and then it was gone, and it never came back up ever anywhere at any price. And then after launch, they were like hundreds of dollars for that.
Yep. Yeah.
And like, I'm so glad I got that ordered when I did. The Fire Emblem games, just like you said, they go out of stock so quickly. But I think that may have changed now, because when the last one came out on the 3DS, what was that one called? With the one in the brown box it was a remake of Gaiden.
Oh, what?
I know what you're talking. I can't remember the name.
Yeah, I know what you're talking.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I thought it was Fire Emblem Gaiden.
Maybe it was just called that. For some reason, I can't remember the title. But anyway, that one, they put it out with a limited edition and a regular
Echoes.
edition. Echoes, thank you. And then it kept coming back in stock. The limited edition kept coming back in stock after it shipped. That was that game was actually the big turning point for me with Amazon, where I stopped buying games on Amazon when I had the option of buying them somewhere else, because it's another game that went in a paperboard box, and Amazon shipped it to me in a bubble mailer, and it got wrecked. And then Amazon didn't have any more, and they wouldn't do anything for me. They were like, well, I mean, you can send it back for a refund. And I'm like, I don't want a refund. I want this game, but not all beat up. And they're like, well, we don't have it. And yeah, so that was a pain in the neck. But yeah, I mean, it seems like that one kept coming back into stock. Like a week later, 2 weeks later, they had another shipment of them. And then like 6 months later, they were still getting shipments of them at Amazon and Best Buy. So I was like, well, all right, maybe they've stopped making them as limited. Maybe they learned from the Fates experience. So maybe that would be the case with 3 Houses as well.
Could be.
Fingers
I still
crossed.
wouldn't risk it.
Yeah,
You
still
know?
don't risk it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Nintendo's got us pretty well nailed down that
Mhm.
we're so terrified that we won't be able to get something that we always buy stuff.
Yeah, and I always buy the Fire Emblem games because I love them, but I am way behind. I've yet to finish a Fire Emblem game, and I have them all. Like every one of them, all the way back to the first GBA one. I've got them all.
Typical
And
JRPG,
I've yet to finish one.
30,000 hours of gameplay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I didn't read the
And I'm a
tutorials in
Perfectionist. I'm
Awakening.
like, I don't want to do this.
So-
Say that again, Josh.
Oh, I didn't read the tutorials in Awakening, so I'm literally
Oh, God,
stuck in an
no.
area where I can't walk through a wall. I'm like, I don't know how to open this stupid gate. Like,
You need to get a key. You need to kill somebody. They will drop a key.
they're stuck on the other side of the wall. I'm trying to shoot arrows. Like, what's going on?
So those are the confirmed exclusives. We've got a whole bunch of multi-platform and ports coming to the Switch as well. We've got Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe, which is really a combination of Super Mario Bros. U and Super Luigi U. All of the Final Fantasy games are coming to the Switch. We've got Dragon Quest XI, Dragon Quest Builders 2. I'm looking at you, Steven. Tales of Vesperia, Crash Team Racing, Team Sonic Racing, Mortal Kombat 11, Doom Eternal, Resident Evil 1, 4, and 0, and Ace Attorney Trilogy. Are any of these on your wish lists for next year?
All of them.
Mortal Kombat 11. Like, who would have predicted that that would be coming a day and date with the other platform? Well, apparently day and date with the other platforms on the Nintendo Switch. Like, that blew me away almost as much as all the other announcements at the Game Awards. That was coming to the Switch. It's just not a game that you'd expect on a Nintendo platform in the first place, just because third-party manufacturers are like, no one's going to buy it on the Switch. But the fact that they are putting it out day and date, I mean, that surprised me. I mean, it's ultra violent and not family friendly, and not a game that anybody listening to this should probably play if you're a kid. But the fact that it is coming on the
All
Switch,
the kids.
We turned out okay,
Just
right?
went to try and find their copies of Mortal Kombat 11 because you said that. I shouldn't play that? Oh my gosh, I'm going to go play that.
I mean, you should play it. It's a family friendly game that's wholesome, and
It's like
Your
having a
parents
job.
love it. Your parents love it.
it's your parents' favorite video game. But yeah, the fact that that's coming on the Switch just kind of blew my mind.
Steven?
Yeah, and that's I had forgotten about that already, because I'm not a Mortal Kombat person really, but those games were always kind of a punchline. But yeah, very very violent, entertaining trailer that was for that one, right? And I just learned today that I guess Crash Team Racing is coming to Switch as well. I thought that
It
was a
is.
PS4 exclusive.
Yeah, it's coming to I think all the platforms as well.
Are you guys fans of those other Poor Man and Poorer Man's Mario Kart games?
I'm a fan of the Sonic
haven't played
one.
it.
Crash Team Racing. I own it twice on PlayStation 2, and one of them's unopened and the other one is unplayed. And I just got them in trades and bundle pickups and things like that. So I own them, and I've never really played them. So yeah, not a big fan of the Crash Bandicoot stuff. But the Sonic ones have been fantastic. The Sonic one on Wii U was secretly the best kart racer on the Wii U because it wasn't just a kart racer. So I
Yeah.
think I played that one more than I won't say more than Mario Kart, but close to the same amount of time as I did play Mario Kart.
Josh,
Yeah,
are
they
you
made
going to
the-
be playing any of these games on Gamers in Carts getting interviewed?
Well, I mean, I've got Hello Kitty Cruisers, so I mean, I had to buy that because I
It's
lost
an evergreen title.
because I
really.
lost in tennis, and so I had to stream. I had to stream that, but I'm honestly not like I love Mario Kart so much that like it kind of ruined me. I'll try them. I'll give them a go, And but I saw this morning there's a chance that Crash game is going to be delayed on the Switch and won't be releasing on the 21st. Like I think it was like April 21st or something like that. So, but yeah, I mean, I'll give them a go. But I have secret hopes that we're gonna see some kind of Mario Kart announcement next year. So that's
Really?
well, we haven't seen any kind of DLC. And I think we can look at numbers right now and go, unless there's a Mario Kart, a Mario game, or a Zelda game, nothing seems to like sell through the roof. Pokemon will be up there, right? Because it's always up there. And and Smash, I'm sure, is gonna just crush some records. But I feel like personally, I want to see Nintendo do another year one like they did with the year one of the Switch. I want to see something of that magnitude happen again. I don't know if it's possible. I don't know.
You don't think Animal Crossing does that? Because it sold
it-
bananas on the 3DS.
Pokemon, Animal Crossing.
I think they do
Fire
really
Emblem.
well, but I don't know that they
Yoshi.
do as well as a Mario and Zelda. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Sure.
I think for us who are fans, we're like, oh, it's amazing. But like, think about somebody that just got into got the Switch and they haven't played since GameCube or 64. Animal Crossing, unless they do some research about it, they're like, what is this? This is one of those titles
That's true.
that they would look at the shelf and go, I have no clue what this is. Even looking at the back of the box, they're like, get a house, get a mortgage, right?
Yeah. The only reason I even tried that game is because I heard somebody gush about it on a podcast over and over again. I was like, okay, I'll finally try it. And then
Yeah.
I was convinced. So you've got a pretty good point there. I don't think that they'll ever match the first year. Like, that's insane to me. But maybe we could talk about this a little bit. Mario Kart 9. What the hell do they add to Mario Kart to make it justify another number? I personally, for me, I would rather they just do DLC. Just send out new tracks and new characters and just keep adding on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But is there anything that you guys think that they could add to the game that would say this is worth a $60 purchase again?
To me, here's the part of the reason I think it's coming. I don't think the engine's changing, right? We've already seen 8 run really, really well. It looks
Beautiful.
gorgeous, right?
It does.
So why change the engine? We saw him do it with Galaxy on the Wii, right? 1 and 2, which was unheard of, really. And I think what we've seen with Smash Ultimate, if they launched 9 with every Mario Kart track that had the 8 retouch, you know, we're adding the gliders and adding the upside down and that kind of stuff, I would be more than happy with that, especially if it had a good battle mode and everything. Like, that seems like that's a ton of content right there. If it was
Yeah.
every Mario Kart track, I'm so on board. Take my $60
Every driver,
right now.
including Donkey Kong Jr.
Yeah, get it, make it Mario Kart Ultimate, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
totally down. So, and
More
maybe
like
throw
a games as a service kind of thing, where maybe when the next, like, I've been talking about this for a while now, make the next Mario Kart game Mario Kart Ultimate, and then when it comes out on the next version of whatever Nintendo console we end up with, you buy the game again, and all of the stuff that you buy that version of the game, and all of the stuff that you have done in the previous version gets moved forward.
Mhm.
And they just keep snowballing on that over and over. Kind of like if I guess I don't have a good example, but you know, if I just moving from one computer to another, all
Monster
of my stuff
Hunter.
goes with me.
Monster Hunter Generations,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Move from
There
the
you go.
DS to the Switch. The other thing that I think is a possibility is we get Ultimate, right? The Ultimate Mario Kart. It has all the tracks, all the characters that have ever been in Mario Kart. Now DLC is a Kirby DLC. You introduce Kirby, you introduce 4 Kirby tracks. You have a Samus DLC. You have a Star Fox DLC. You know, it just like it seems like there could be just endless opportunity there. And you know, they've said they want to do games as a service. I think my gut feeling is I think we'll see Mario Kart sooner than later. May not be next year, that may be too soon, but I think we're still going to see something on the Switch.
And
Yeah.
and if you buy the Kirby DLC, when you play it on the next Nintendo system, you have that DLC locked to your account, so that you can keep playing it.
Love it.
That's how I look at it. What do you think, Lloyd?
A couple thoughts on this one. I think that we shouldn't be getting Mario Kart 9. What they should be doing is just adding DLC finally to Mario Kart 8. Because if we know anything about Nintendo, it's that they love to sell old games for full retail price. And if they can continue to sell Mario Kart, the actual Mario Kart game that's already in stores for the same price, retail price, and just bring out a bunch of DLC packs, like you said, Josh, the Kirby pack and the you name it, the Fire Emblem pack and the Earthbound pack.
See Marth in a cart. I love it, dude.
Just swords. They add swords to the game, like stuff like that. I think that would be ultimately the best thing that they could do for Mario Kart instead of coming out with a whole new game. Personally, that's what I feel. But I think where they should be focusing is something new, like bring out Diddy Kong Racing again, like do something that isn't Mario Kart. Let Mario Kart exist as this game that everybody that owns a Switch is going to buy, and then come up with something new. F-Zero,
Star Fox Grand Prix.
Star Fox Grand Prix, yeah. Like I would much rather see a whole new racing battle whatever game as something new, and then them basically take the game that we already have, we already own, and probably haven't played as much as we should have, and just add more DLC to it. I would just personally, that's what I would love to see.
Steven?
How much money do you think F-Zero GX lost for Nintendo? It must have been an astounding amount of money based on how they've looked at that franchise since. They didn't even develop that game. They just published it.
Totally.
You know, that was because that was Sega Amusement Vision. But it was so good. F-Zero GX is so good. I still like playing it today, even though I'm terrible at it, kind of like Smash.
Yeah. No, it's great. I wonder how much money they've made on like all these weird arcade things, like the F-Zero arcade and the Mario Kart arcade and all these other like arcade things. It's like, okay, we sell a game, we produce a game, we develop a game, we publish a game, and it makes X, and we give the license to someone else like Namco to make an arcade thing, and we make X times 10. Let's just do that. It makes me wonder if that's what they're looking at for F-Zero. But I'd love to see another F-Zero game. That was we've so much fun in this house has been, well, not in this house because F-Zero is old, but in the other houses, so much fun playing F-Zero with my now wife, then girlfriend. Having a new one come out would be fantastic.
Because
You got, Fast Racing Neo, and that's
that
great.
one just I bought that when it first came out because that was like one of the launch games for the Switch, and it just felt like this isn't F-Zero. Like that's
felt like a PlayStation
like,
game.
What's that?
It felt like a PlayStation game.
Yeah, this isn't F-Zero, and this isn't Wipeout. This is Fast Racing Neo. Go have fun.
Yeah. And of course, there was nobody to play with either, so there was that.
I think the beauty of talking about games like F-Zero and possibly Wave Race, Excite Bike, 1080, those old series with a healthy Nintendo, all of those things are possible again. They can take risks again and not have them be like detrimental to the system, right?
We need another Excitebots is what we need. I want more super sandwiches in my racing game.
I just want to see some of these, like, give us an extreme sports. I don't know that it would do that well. I don't think that's a hot thing anymore, right? That people would, but I know for us old timers, it's like, man, I'd love to play Excitebike again. When I jump into Wave Race 64, the Blue Storm on GameCube, the game's gorgeous. Yeah, so much fun. But who's the main character in that? Who's like, I don't know that kind of stuff. I don't know that it works anymore, right?
Well, did anybody know who the main character was in F-Zero before Smash?
Falcon.
No, but it had characters, right? There was story there. You know what I'm like? Whereas, like, you could just say, "Oh, we're making a Wave Race game or Wave Runner game." Cool. Let's jump on jet skis. Whereas, like, now it's like, wait a minute, I could play a game that has airplanes and I jump out of the sky and I have to collect loot and all. It's like there's so much stuff that younger generations are used to with games. To say, "Hey, go race on a jet ski," they're like, "What?"
That's a mini game in GTA. Yeah, what are you talking about?
There'll be jet skis in Fortnite soon. So what do I need?
Yeah. There will. All right. What do you guys think about the rumored, about Metroid Prime 4? Do you think it's coming this year? Or next year?
Holiday. I think it's going to be a holiday 2019 release, and it's gonna come out a couple months after the trilogy, because we've already seen the box art for trilogy, or what people are saying is the box art for the Metroid Prime trilogy. So I think we'll get that at like maybe June, July, and then in November we'll get Metroid Prime 4. That's my happy little world, and I'm going to live in it until Nintendo proves me wrong.
If we do get the Metroid Prime trilogy, the second and third ones were exclusively made with motion controls in mind. Am I correct in that?
The third one. Second was on
Yeah.
Just the
GameCube.
third one. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that, and I'll talk to you about it, Stephen. Do you think that Nintendo will change that, or will it be full on motion control, or will it be, you get to pick if you want to use motion control or a more traditional input method?
Okay, well, I guess there's two different things here: is which is Nintendo going to do, and which would I want Nintendo to do?
Sure.
But you asked which is Nintendo going to do. History told us that, like in the trilogy, when they put the trilogy out for Wii and they put it out for Wii U, the only option for playing those was with the Wii Remote and Nunchuck. I would expect that they would probably continue on that tack, which is to say you have to play all three Metroid Prime 1, 2, 3 HD for Switch. You have to play them with the Joy-Cons. I had to look at them to remember what they were called. They wear a name tag.
Even though
And-
that would mean you couldn't play it portably, though. And the
Yeah, I
Switch is
suppose
all
that's
about portably
true.
or portability.
Yeah, I mean, but they could put other motion controls where you have to tilt but that would be annoying, I guess, to have
Splatoon.
to do that. But they've done it before, right? Didn't they do that with what was the one where they Splatoon, right? Splatoon 2?
Yeah.
But that had other control options too, didn't it?
Mhm.
You could turn off the motion.
Correct. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would hope that they would give you all kinds of options. Like my ideal situation would be one where, whether I wanted to or not, whether I actually exercise this option or not, I want to be able to take my Switch, put it in the dock, plug in my USB GameCube adapter that I use for Smash, pick up a GameCube controller, and play Metroid Prime, the original Metroid Prime in HD with the original GameCube controls. But will they give me that option? I don't know. I mean, they can't make us use Wii remotes,
That's true.
right? So they
I'm-
have to change the controls in some way.
I'm going to come out and say that Nintendo fails unless you can use this to play your Metroid Prime trilogy, your
He's-
Pokeball
okay.
Plus. So
Press
it's a
this button
failure.
to launch a missile.
Exactly. Yeah, hit the top button to win. If we can't do that, I think it's a bit of a failure on Nintendo's part.
Super play mode.
Josh?
Is that what it's called, super play?
I mean, I feel like we've seen Nintendo take some steps in the right direction when it comes to this kind of stuff, where they just give options.
Yeah.
Odyssey, you could play it split Joy-Con like you did Galaxy if that's what you were comfortable with, or you could play it with the controller. You could play it handheld. You could do whatever you want, and then you see, and this wasn't necessarily Nintendo, but then the game The World Ends With You comes out, and like, it's like a point and click adventure, and this was on DS, and it was really like crazy control scheme before, so that was kind of strange that we didn't see options with that game. But like, tennis has motion, it also has handheld. I think we're gonna see both. I mean, look at Doom, look at Splatoon, look at Wolfenstein. They're shooters. They know people want to play with those twin sticks at this point. Like they have to understand that, and I feel like it would be a huge misstep if we can't play Metroid that way. And honestly, I've said this on my show before, but like, I want to see Metroid become the Halo
Oh, yeah.
for Nintendo,
Totally.
right? To where it's like Samus becomes a household name like Master Chief, and that there's not only an incredible single player game, but there is an incredible multiplayer game there too. Because if you think about the things she can do, rolling into the ball and leaving bomb, like they could make multiplayer maps that are just absolutely insane, things that we've never seen before. That running through tunnels and then taking a shortcut because you've morphed into the ball and got away. Like, man, that kind of stuff excites me. And I feel like they need to take that kind of risk with this game. Like, make it something big. Don't be reserved. Like, take that risk and push for it to be the Halo on the Switch, because we don't have that. Splatoon, you shoot the ground, not each other, right? Like, I mean, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
that's the point of the game. And so to have something a little more mature, something that's a little more modern, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I love Metroid. I would love to see it taken to the next level.
Yeah.
Sure. I think the reality is we're living in a different time for Nintendo with a newer, younger president. A lot of the decisions that they've made over the last little bit, like the creators program and just a lot of other things where they're very like modern decisions, which typically isn't a Nintendo decision, makes me think that they would have taken what they learned from Star Fox Zero, where it's like, nope, you're going to play it by holding your Wii U thing in the air, and you're going to love it. You're going to drop it on your face, and you're going to laugh about it. All that crazy stuff that you had to do with that. I think they learned a really hard lesson where Nintendo brass is coming out and saying, you know what? Sure, Mr. Designer person, you may want them to do this, but we're going to add other controls for people with accessibility issues, with maybe people that just don't like motion controls. So I have a feeling that when the trilogy comes out, they're going to have dual stick controls, and when Metroid 4 comes out, it's going to be dual stick controls. They're still going to have the motion controls for people that like it. If I know, Bill, you're a motion control fan. I detest them. So there's people on both sides of this argument, and hopefully they can make both of us happy by just adding in options instead of typical old Nintendo is you're going to do this and you're going to love it because we know fun. Hopefully that isn't what happens here with Metroid 4.
Well, Nintendo, first off, just before people come after me with pitchforks and torches, I'm not a fan of motion controls. I'm a fan of gyroscopic aiming added into regular controls.
Sorry.
Just before people get mad at me.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
But Nintendo's been incredibly inconsistent about like allowing you to do the things that you want to do. Like you look at Smash Brothers, just came out. You can turn the music down. Thank God. Not that I don't like the music, but sometimes I want to listen to my music. Then you look at Pokemon Let's Go. You have to use the motion controls unless you are in handheld mode. I can't sit there with my Pro Controller and just tap a button to play. That drives me crazy. Nintendo, it just seems to be all over the place. Like one side of the office is all like, we're going to give options under your chair. You get an option. You get an option. Everybody has options. Oprah's shaking her hands at the sky. And then the other side of the office is you're going to do it our way or you're not going to play at all. And I feel like somebody needs to be there to kind of get the guys who are on the other side of the office saying you're going to do it our way and introduce them to the people on the Oprah side of the office, because it drives me bananas when I don't have options in games. And I think that Nintendo has to have traditional controls for Metroid.
Yeah.
Because the thing about this device is it is all about being able to take it with you and play it on the go. And if I have to set it up in tabletop mode every time that I want to play, I'm just not going to play it. But anyway, that's just me. I worry about decisions that will be made. So fingers crossed.
Sure. My hope with the whole Pokemon Go thing is you had the people that developed this little piece of tech that says we want to sell $50 Pokeballs to people to play this game. And if you take motion controls out of this game, no one's going to buy our $50 Pokeballs. So please keep just motion controls in the game. That my hope is that is what it was. It was a decision to sell a peripheral, not a decision to lock people in because we prefer it's best. But yeah, time will tell with that. I mean, that said, I really love the Pokeball, but I don't want to have like a Metroid ball to play Metroid Prime.
Oh, you're gonna get a hand cannon,
a little morph ball
that has a little microphone. Well, it just has a little microphone. And you have to go pew 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 to do all your shooting. Damn it! I gave Nintendo an idea. Sorry, Nintendo.
Yeah, thanks a lot, pal.
Don't listen to that.
All right. Any last thoughts about 2019?
The last thing for me with Metroid is that you can the game itself, her being a bounty hunter, just leaves itself open for so much content down the road. Because Metroid we hadn't seen anything other than Other M. I'm like, my idea for that series was like, make it like a small indie title, just going back to the 2D stuff that like $10 gets you the game, $5 each time a new bounty shows up, and you go and do more missions and like, or what, whatever the price is, $2, whatever. But that game so leads itself to games as a service because of the fact that she's a bounty hunter and she could just receive like hey, here's your next mission. Here's your next
Yeah.
mission. You know,
I mean, Mr. Furukawa, current president of Nintendo, he did say when he was first I don't know, sworn in or whatever it is that they do. When he first took over for Mr. Kimishima, he specifically said, "I would like to see us bring more DLC to our big titles." So that's that lends itself to exactly what you're talking about, Josh. It lends itself very much to what you're talking about, Lloyd, when you were talking about Mario Kart. I would like to see that exact same thing. I don't want to buy a Mario Kart 9. I just want them to patch Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and say, and now it's called Mario Kart, and just move forward. And I want to see DLC for Metroid where, maybe every 6 months they're like, and you've got this new space pirate that you have to hunt down. There's this cool map and, all these things. And of course, the multiplayer stuff that Josh is talking about is going to be there too. I think that would be a win for everybody. And maybe it'll solve the problem that Nintendo has had with Metroid for a really long time, that it just doesn't sell very well.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope
Yeah.
so. The other reason I'm optimistic about Mario Kart is because of Mario Kart Tour coming out. I feel like they would be amiss to not keep a, here's our mobile game, and then shortly after, kind of like they did with Animal Crossing, But it could just be false hope.
He looks so sad.
We never know.
Speaking of things that look sad, the next
I'm right here.
Oh, sorry. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is this the year that Nintendo finally killed the 3DS? If we look at their releases this year, they had Luigi's Mansion, Yokai Watch Blasters, the other version, WarioWare Gold, Captain Toad, Sushi Striker, Dylan's Dead Heat Breakers for some reason, and then Detective Pikachu. They really didn't launch a whole lot of stuff this year, and are we finally seeing the demise of the system that launched in 2011, for crying out loud? What do you think, Steven?
I would expect that Nintendo's approach on that would be to taper off their own development on the platform and just let third parties continue to make their annual Just Dance or whatever else comes to 3DS. I mean, did they put Just Dance on 3DS? That would be kind of funny.
They put it everywhere, but I can't imagine how you'd play.
It'd be
Little
fantastic.
tilt thing going on.
I want that now.
That's all I've ever wanted.
But it's finally, all of my gaming career has been leading up to the moment where they put Just Dance on the original 3DS, the small one without the, oh my god.
They had
Give
Guitar
us
Hero.
a power pad peripheral that you could plug into the
Yes.
to the thing.
Oh man.
Which would obviously be wired.
Yeah.
Yes,
don't
of course.
don't kick that cord. Be careful.
Oh god.
All right, Josh. Okay, go ahead,
Yeah,
Steven.
that's what
I thought
think
you were
is gonna
done.
happen. No, that's it. Just I think we're going to see an end to first party development on there, but you continue to see your annual third party releases and shovelware continue to pour out as long as the platform will sustain it.
We still have. Oh God, isn't there another game that Nintendo has already announced that's coming next year? Is it
I
Mario?
remember something from a direct, but I can't remember what it was. I do remember people complaining on Twitter, why is this on 3DS? Well, they say that of everything that comes on 3DS,
Yeah.
but I do remember that recently.
Did that Mario wasn't there a Mario RPG?
Mario
that-
and
yeah.
Luigi or something like.
Oh yeah.
Bowser's
Inside Story?
Inside
Story. Yeah.
something like that.
But did it release already, or is it coming out? I can't remember.
I think it's coming
I
next
think it's
year.
still coming.
I think
like
I think
February or
so.
something.
Look,
Josh is single-handedly keeping this industry alive, by the way.
I bought 4 DSs this holiday already.
Wow.
And I'm
No,
having
Josh. Bad Josh.
And I'm having-
Bad Josh.
Look,
Hit
I'm
him with
having
a
a
newspaper.
I'm having a hard time.
Stop encouraging them.
Yeah.
Rub
I
his
know.
nose in his DS pile.
I'm having a really hard time not buying the Mario Maker one because it looks so awesome, But I mean, it's so perfect for kids to introduce them to this series. We just got my niece one, and you know what it did? My daughters now and her are playing Mario Kart religiously. It's crazy. They are so into this all of a sudden. and I love it. I love it. I think it's great. My other nieces and nephews, like they're like 3 and 6 years old, right? Like I'm not going to put a Switch in their hand, but they come over, they play Switch. The Mario Kart being able to have assist, drive assist and acceleration assist, that kind of stuff. They'll sit and play that for hours. So I'm like, this is a perfect system. It comes with Mario Kart loaded on it. I mean, I think Reggie recently talked about the fact that like they're going to keep supporting this thing because it sits in that like, look, $79 for a console that they're still making a profit on, and the profit probably only goes up each year because to manufacture those parts only has to go down, I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
Like, personally, I think it's great if they want to revamp it and get another console in that place, do the 4DS or whatever. Like fine, but I think it would be a little bit redundant. We're going to put an HD screen on a DS and then split the handheld market between the two systems. I don't think so. I think it makes the most sense to keep this as more of a dumbed down thing. Don't put anything super stellar on it. They already have a stellar library of like, if you look at that library, it's insane. And if somebody's
it's the best
just getting
library in gaming,
it's unreal. It's unreal. And so if you have a kid that's getting into this system for the first time, they have so many games that they can get at. I mean, most of the games, the first party games, other than Mario Kart, Nintendo, please lower the price, are $20. $20 for Animal Crossing. You know what I got last night on sale? Super Mario 3D Land for $7.99. Like
that's an awesome game.
Yeah, for that price,
fantastic.
I couldn't I can't pass this up. That'll go with that'll go for my nephew,
How does that play on a 2DS though? Because there's a lot of stuff where like being able to see it in 3D changes, like makes the game better.
Yeah.
Personally, I'd never really turned the 3D on for that game. I played it mostly 2D the entire time.
Oh, okay.
So, but that's just, there's very few games I turned the 3D on. I think Luigi's Mansion was one of them that I played with the 3D on, and Metroid Return of Samus, I played that with some 3D, but other than that, I mainly play 2D.
Lloyd,
So,
did Josh's impassioned argument convince you?
I think what Nintendo's going to do is they're going to keep making 2DSs and 3DSs because it prints money for them, and there's very little risk for them in this day and age because people are buying them like crazy. When you buy a kid a DS, whether it's 2DS, 3DS, they have 14 years worth of gaming library that they can play. They can play from the original DS all the way up to the 3DS stuff, and it's huge. But I do think Nintendo is going to stop really focusing development on it. And like the biggest example of why this is going to happen is the next Pokemon is coming on the Switch, and if the 3DS was really still going to be something that Nintendo was going to focus on, the next Pokemon would be on the DS platform.
It's not even on both, right? It's on just
It's on only
just
the
on the
Switch.
Switch.
Like the 3DS could not handle the assets that we have in Pokemon Let's Go. They're just too high res.
Exactly.
That
Yeah, and
240p
it
screen.
goes back to when the 3DS came out, and Nintendo's like, "Oh no, we have 3 pillars of development," and they're saying this because the 3DS was not the biggest seller when it first came out, and it's like, "No, we have the DS and we have the Wii, and we're doing fine, but the 3DS is new, and the DS isn't going away." And I think they even did that the 3 pillar argument back when the DS first came out, saying, "No, we still have the Game Boy Advance, and we have the DS, and we have the whatever GameCube or whatever it was back then." I think Nintendo is very good at hedging their bets. So when they released the Switch, they expected a Wii U stinker, and they were pleasantly surprised that it was one of their best sellers in recent memory. So I think a lot of the development decisions that were made, since games do take years and years to develop, was like, okay, if the Switch is going to suck, we're going to come up with all this great software for the 3DS so that we can still have this cash cow coming in while we work on whatever the next big thing is. What Nintendo is seeing now is that the Switch is selling gangbusters, and they're like, okay, we can move some of our development team over from the 3DS to Switch software, and then we'll keep coming up. Our designers can keep making crazy construction Mario colored 2DSs and releasing those out for a holiday package or whatever. And I think that's kind of what we're going to see going forward. But who knows? We're probably going to get a direct in January, and it could be half 3DS stuff again. You never know with Nintendo. Common sense often doesn't play in a lot of their decisions until you look at it from 20,000 feet in a couple years, and it's like, okay, that's why they did that.
Well,
So yeah.
last December, the 3DS sold 750,000 copies, or 750,000 systems.
Yep.
Last
Yeah.
December alone, right? So they announced these special editions, and collectors are like, yoink, you know.
Oh, and they were also like $79. So you have
Yeah.
parents
Yeah,
are buying
they're
them
so
they're buying them 6-packs in case one breaks. They just take one out of the little plastic ring and give it to their kids.
And don't get me wrong, I don't want them to stop making the DS system, because it is a wonderful entry point for younger gamers who you don't want to put a $300 system in their hand with detachable parts, which can easily break. I just want them to, if they're going to put out a game on the 3DS, also port it to the Switch, because
Yes,
the Switch can
Sushi
obviously do
Strikers,
it.
Toad's Treasure, like, and we're seeing Wii U titles end up on the 3DS, 2DS. Like, that's great. Make it a port machine. Then get some stuff. Do that. Do Pikmin on both. Get Pikmin
Sure.
3 on both systems. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But when you do that, Nintendo, can you make them the same price so I don't feel dirty about buying a game that's $10 more on my Switch?
Oh, Lloyd, you're asking a lot, my friend.
Don't forget, this is business.
All right. So our final topic before we wrap everything up is everybody in here is kind of a collector. I'm like a new collector. I just started collecting stuff this year, so this is probably going to be the most difficult choice for me. But I'm curious, what is your favorite collection-ish pickup that you guys got this year? Lloyd was rubbing his hands together just now. So Lloyd, I'm going to start with you.
Okay. Well, this isn't about collection. This is about utility. So I'm already breaking the rules, but I want to show you 2 things that I got this year that have made my life as a Switch owner so much better. So much better. The first is the Satisfy Pro Gaming Grip for my Nintendo Switch. This is Steven has one as well. This is like the best piece of equipment that I've ever had for a handheld system. And this is going back to like the Game Boy, the original Game Boy, where you had like the thing that folded out speakers and a light and a magnifying glass and like a chair massager and a battery charger.
That's one of my
and,
favorite
tanning bed.
That's one of my favorite print ads of all time, is that kid with all that crap that he's holding. And then
The light boy.
Yeah. And then they show
Did you
him
see
with
his
all
biceps from holding that up for 8 hours a day? They were huge. They were great. But yeah, the Satisfy Switch Grip is just this little piece of plastic that you slide your Switch into, and you basically have a Pro Controller now on each side of your Nintendo Switch. This is a game changer for portable gaming. I love this thing. So from a utility standpoint, this is by far my favorite pickup. With a close second being this little thing that I just got, which is the 8BitDo GameCube adapter, wireless GameCube adapter. So it's this little device with a couple buttons on it. One side has a GameCube plug, so you can plug your really sexy Spice Orange GameCube controller into one side of it, and it becomes a Pro Controller that you can use your original GameCube stuff, which is cool. It takes batteries, which isn't cool, but that's a really cool thing that you can do that. But the secret thing that I didn't even know it contained, which now makes it one of my favorite devices, is on the other side, it has a nunchuck port. And I was like, why do you need to hook up a nunchuck to it? That doesn't make sense. And then I realized that these little things have the exact same ports. So I can hook up a Super Nintendo controller to my Nintendo Switch and get the really super awesome D-pad to play all my NES games. So while these aren't collecting pickups that are my favorite, these are by far my favorite utility pickups that I've ever had for a portable system. Be able to use physical controls to play all my NES games is just a game changer, because I love my Pro Controller. The D-pad is the worst thing that Nintendo's ever done on anything. That D-pad is just not useful. When you hit forward and it hits up all the time, it just causes so many problems. But be able to use an actual Super Nintendo controller with my Switch for me has just been such a huge game changer.
I want to jump in on that real quick and talk about something that is not related to collecting. But did any of you guys order the NES controllers that can snap onto the side of the Switch?
Yes, I did.
Did you get yours yet, Josh?
They'll be here Wednesday.
Okay. Mine were supposed to come yesterday, but they're in Wichita for some reason. So I was hoping that somebody here had gotten their hands on them and said how they are, but that's okay.
They're probably checking out the music scene.
What? Oh, in Wichita. I
Wichita.
understand. Okay.
Music scene in
I got you.
Wichita, yeah.
Oh my God, you lost me. Steven, what's your favorite pickup for the year?
That's tough. I mean, I didn't do a lot of collecting this year. I had to really kind of taper things down quite a bit. Just in a pinch, I'll say the Octopath special edition. It has this really crazy cool pop-up book of like, a lot of the 8 of the really important locations in the game. One for each of the characters. Like I think it's their starting town or whatever for each one of them. Which is really kind of neat because that game has that kind of pop-up book look to it, and that was a little bit scarce-ish when it launched. So I'm glad I got one of those. But yeah, I mean, you limited it to just this year. I don't have a lot of things that I collected this year that are that interesting.
All right, fair enough. What's your favorite thing that you have collected ever then?
I have a factory sealed Castlevania for the Commodore 64.
I didn't even know it was on the Commodore 64.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
It was. The game itself on Commodore 64 is not noteworthy, but finding that in that condition, I grabbed that like 10 years ago on eBay, and I was just because I was quick. But I have yet to see one in that condition at all for any price since. So that's probably the most significant item in my collection.
Josh, what'd you pick up this year? I mean, Josh picked up everything this year.
So I had somebody in my community gave me like a DS, a Game Boy Advance that were all owned by an adult non-smoker with all the cases and everything. That was the white DS Lite. Like it's pristine, like absolutely mint. Which also had just some killer games, some games that I had traded in at one time that I was able to replace. And the other thing that's cool is I'm missing, before I started collecting, I threw away like my DS cases, which makes me just like die on the inside now. And so they replaced a bunch of those, which was really, really cool. One of the things that I was really stoked about is I got the white Smash 4 controller, which was imported from Japan. And then what I did with the new Smash controller, I swapped the bottoms so that they basically
that looks so cool.
They look like a killer whale right now, so
It's Oreo.
yeah. So I'm loving that. But probably, which I didn't realize at the time, probably the coolest pickups for me would be one, the Steelbook for Smash, because I now have all 3 of the official Steelbooks for the Switch, Mario Kart and Xenoblade Chronicles, and then also the Smash Switch and having the graphics on the dock and the Joy-Cons. Like seeing that in pictures, I'm like, it's so disappointing. Seeing it in real life, it's actually pretty cool to see. And so pretty excited about that. I've collected retro stuff throughout the year, but nothing really jumps out at me. I had a guy at work recently give me a box that had a PS2 in it, and then it had 2 copies of Super Mario World for Game Boy Advance. So that was like kind of some little rare, little treasures here and there.
I just started collecting stuff this year. When I was a kid, if I wanted to get the new system, I always traded in my stuff. So I never had the old stuff. So this year, I started just picking up stuff here and there, going to shops and shopping on eBay. And my favorite pickups for the year so far, I'm not going to grab it off the shelf, but I've got the Virtual Boy back there, which it works, which is insane to me.
Free headaches.
What's that?
So jealous.
Oh, enjoy
Free
my
headaches.
headache. Yeah, free headaches. And right above my head, you can see there's a Rob the Robot sitting there. I really love that. But probably
Nice.
My favorite was something that I had when I was a kid, because neither of those things I ever had when I was a kid. Same with the TurboGrafx 16 that one of my listeners sent me. which is insane. That's like sitting on the shelf back there. Like that's all stuff I never had when I was a kid. So that's like aspirational stuff that I wanted. I would see it in the magazines and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm never going to get that. And now I have those. But here's something that I lost when I was a kid is Donkey Kong 2.
Nice.
Love it.
Game and Watch. It's Nintendo's original clamshell design. And this works as well. I don't have the batteries in it right now because I don't want the batteries to ruin it because I'm not really playing it. Although I played this in the car when I was a kid so much, and loading it up, like the sounds, I was like, oh my God, those sounds are so good. But this is a fantastic get for me. I was really happy to get this. I probably spent more on it than I should have, even though it's not as expensive as, I don't know. I spent more on this than I did some of the other things, but this is something that I was always upset that I lost when I was a kid. Steven, you just held something up. What was it?
Oh, that's the Tiger handheld Simon's Quest, Castlevania Simon's Quest.
That's awesome.
Game. It's so awful. Such an awful game.
This is
I had
actually
like
not
Mortal
bad.
Kombat and Street Fighter.
You have Mortal
Those-
Kombat and
Wow.
Street Fighter?
Yeah, I believe they were Tiger as well, and they were.
Yeah.
It's just, how did you make that into this? I never understood that. But you bought those as a kid, and there was like, this is the best thing ever. 5 minutes later,
Yeah. This I feel like holds up. It's really fun. It's got
does.
2 screens. You have to climb up to the top screen, go and unlock a lock, and then climb all the way back down, get a key, and do it again 4 times. And it's very, very enjoyable. And then my only thing that I purchased this year in collectibleness, because I'm mostly a digital gamer, was the Night Trap Collector's Edition, which it came with a
Very
steel
cool.
book. It's so cool. And I again, this is a game I wanted to play when I was a kid. My parents said absolutely not. But Night Trap is so fun. And it comes with a VHS tape, for crying out loud, with the original footage on the VHS tape. I can't play it because I don't have a VHS player, but it sits up there on the shelf. And
Those are called VCRs, Bill.
what do you mean?
a VHS player.
Oh, well, that's what we called them when I was a kid because we had a Beta and we had a VHS.
The Betamax.
Yeah, we had a Betamax, and it had the remote control had a wire on it.
oh, those are the best.
Clickers.
Yeah,
Yes.
it had a wire on it
I
that
love
went over
it.
across the room.
I've watched
Yeah.
Star Wars more on Betamax than in any other format. I guarantee it. So
Same with Tron.
Widescreen or not widescreen?
no, it was definitely not widescreen.
Because I remember Star Wars, and this is a slight aside. Star Wars is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I had watched it 1,000,000 times, and I had never seen it widescreen. And then I sat down and I was watching it on TV or something, and I was looking at it. I was like, "There's an extra Jawa there." Like, there's an extra thing over there. Like, there's all these things that I had never seen before because I'd never seen it in widescreen. And that was the moment, because up until then, I was always like, why would I ever want to watch anything letterboxed where it's black on the top and bottom and the screen is smaller? That was the moment when I understood why people would want to watch things letterboxed so you could see the whole screen back when all of our TVs were 4x3.
Yeah.
Well,
Love
I
it.
got one other thing.
okay, go for it.
If that's okay.
Of course.
This is the one cool collectible that I got this year, which I had no idea what it was when it was given to me. Then I did some research, and it's actually really cool. It's this little thing here. It's called Video Game. And this is a family clone. This is a pirate system of the original Famicom. So it has like the Famicom controllers that slide in the side. And I had to trace down where this came from, and it's actually like some crazy Taiwanese pirate system essentially for the Famicom. So this came out right around when the Super Nintendo came out. These systems came out, and it was just called Computer Game on the back, and it says video game on the front. So they couldn't even get their messaging correct on both sides of the system. So I was like hunting down where this came from and everything, and found out that why it was made or whatever. They actually sold these in North America in like malls. Like you go to a mall kiosk and they'd have like buy the system, comes with 100 games, and that's what it was. It was a Famicom that was essentially just a clone, a Fami clone is what they're called. But
that's
so
a disappointing
cool.
Christmas right there, is what that is.
It is. But even cooler than this is this little game that came with it. And the friend that gave it to me said, "Yeah, we had this thing at the lake, and it had all these games on it, and we don't know what it is. It's like some all-in-one game system." No, it's not an all-in-one game system. It has a Famicom slot, so you can't actually put an NES cart in it. So they had no idea. But it comes with this thing called it's all characters that I can't read from another language, and it's called 110 game, and it has like really terrible JPEGs on it. I can't play it yet because I need a power adapter, and I know Steven and I have chatted about how to get this thing up and running. I want to see what's on this cartridge, but it's essentially a pirate cart with 110 games, so a multi-cart for Famicom NES and a Fami clone. All stuff that I didn't know existed, and it's stuff that is now part of my collection, and I just love it to death, even though I haven't actually played it yet. So there's some really wacky, crazy stuff out there, folks.
Yeah, there is. You reminded me of one thing that I got that was very small and very inconsequential, but I got
cool.
I got a Zelda for the Nintendo Disk System.
Yeah.
Is that Zelda 2?
No, it's the original.
It looks like the art from the first one.
Yeah, it's the original one.
Yeah.
I love the disc. It has like Nintendo embossed on it on the bottom. It's so cool looking.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really excited to get that as well. And I didn't even know about the Nintendo Disk System when I was a kid. So like this is crazy to me. I'd never heard of that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've been talking for a very long time. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Let's go right back to the beginning and have everybody tell everyone where they can find your stuff. So Josh, why don't you start us off, man?
Yeah, it's at N64Josh everywhere, n64josh.com, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all the places, MySpace, Farmers Only. It's all N64Josh. So,
and you're the host of
the Nintendo Powercast and the Smash Bros. Cast.
Awesome. Lloyd and Steven. Lloyd, start first.
Yeah, if you want to find me on Twitter, I'm at Dasme on Twitter, DASME on Twitter. Follow me there. I host the Nintendo Pulse podcast over at Res TV, REZD.TV. Podcast network I run, a whole bunch of gaming and other content on that network. So do check it out.
And Steven?
I'm at Stephen the Mun on Twitter, at STEPHENTHEMUNN. It's too many characters, but I wasn't really thinking about that when I picked it, and it's my name with some extra stuff, so that's the way it's going to be. And I co-host these shows with Lloyd on the REZD.TV network.
Are you guys like the longest running Nintendo show?
I believe so. I think we were the first Nintendo show that was on the iTunes network, or the iTunes app, the podcast thing when it first launched. It was like one of the first Nintendo ones. So yeah, I think we've been running the longest, but it had a different name back then. But yeah, it's long time. I'm old.
And
Still going.
You can find my stuff at runjumpstomp.com. I host Nintendo Switchcraft. Big thank you to you guys for hanging out with me today and helping us do the holiday episode so that we can take some time off.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Bill. This has been a lot of fun, like always.
All right. We'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.